I don't want to take too much of your time. Maybe a hot question, one or two hot
Well,
questions.
I have one, and one of the, and I don't know if you have valuable insights here or not, but one of the big things that is in front of the board of directors right now is this whole concept of advocacy, where hikers and trail people tend to be very private. They like to be out there doing their own thing on the trail. And yet, as Steve pointed out, with federal monies drying up and state monies drying up, advocacy, being in contact on both the national level and the state level is going to be incredibly important in coming years. And it's just a question if you have insight. Now you mentioned the hike the hill thing, which is where we go.
That's going after federal dollars. They're drying up, so you've got to be more creative.
So I just wonder if you had any insights on advocacy, even on local and state level, because we don't do very well at that.
There's some cliches. Any of you who've ever done fundraising know that the bottom line rule for fundraising is that fundraising is friend raising. And therefore, if you're invisible in your community, you're going to have a hard time making the case to your wealthy neighbor who might give money to the trail. Whereas if the trail's well marked and they've already been out there with their grandkids and enjoyed it, and you approach them and say, could you give $10,000 to our campaign, they at least know what the hell you're talking about, even if they don't give you the money. So one is marketing, smart marketing, in a way that is consistent with the trail. I feel that, from what I've observed, and this I think starts with the Appalachian Trail community, is they were allergic to traditional marketing, what I would call Madison Avenue marketing, because it was kind of insincere, it was kind of glitzy, and it was kind of cheap. And so that hasn't worked for trails. But there are many other kinds of marketing. The most effective is word of mouth. So, you put word out to your neighbors, you say, next week we're doing a work weekend, do one of you join me? They go out, they have a great time, they come back and tell their neighbors. So pretty soon it snowballs like that. So be smart about marketing to do it, and mark the trail profusely everywhere it is. I was yesterday hiking on the little section from Lowell with our new trail coordinator, Jeff.
Custer.
Yeah, Custer. Up through there, and we got lost because the little blue blazes, they're kind of on the wrong side of the pole. So, mark the trail smartly and clearly, and maybe a little too much without it being obnoxious. And especially in the towns, when it comes into a community on the sidewalk, maybe put some blue, footprints, so it's real clear, where it's going, rather than assume that people can see these blazes on. So there's marketing, there's fundraising, there's friendly, especially kid-friendly youth events. There's reaching out to community groups. I mean, we could brainstorm here if we had the time, a list of probably 100 ways to market your section of the trail or trail in general. And they're all valid. It depends where your heart is, what you want to do. We're going to do some music here in a little while, and I think there's a huge untapped potential for trail music and art and videos, and using that as a way of reaching out and telling a trail story. Again, just maybe within the school system, educational programs. The way the Appalachian Trail is marketing their trail is through teacher trainings. They call it an educational program. That's how they get the money, but it's really marketing the Appalachian Trail out to school kids in the cities all up and down the East Coast. So not just dealing with the counties or the towns where the trail is, they're going to Atlanta, they're going to Philadelphia, they're going to Wilmington, Baltimore, Boston, and they're reaching out to teachers in those schools who want to build the Appalachian Trail into their curriculum. It's called a Trail to Every Classroom. They have a teacher institute every summer, K through 12. We usually put 30 to 40 teachers through this every year. The teachers develop the curriculum. They don't. And they go back to their schools with their permission, and they build it into their state standards of learning so that it works with the state requirements. But instead of just studying math, you're studying math on the Appalachian Trail. And maybe you challenge your kids to walk 50 yards a day. How many days does it take to walk the Appalachian Trail 50 yards a day around your school? You can be creative here. So there's lots of ways to think about marketing and marketing your trail that's appropriate to the trail. And I think if we do that well, the money will sort of get easier to find.
Well, it's a very cool thing because, like right now, we developed a huge glitzy marketing program a year or so ago that basically we had no money for. And so it was dead in the water because the funds dried up.
Think of your capacity.
But
think
this
of
is
your
the sort of
passion.
thing that it doesn't take tons of money.
You can inspire a local author who's looking for a subject matter to write a book about an adventure in your trail, like that Bill Bryson book into, you know, the Appalachian Trail book that he wrote 20 years ago. Get something, an adventure, you know, a mystery on the North Country Trail. A series of books about different sections of the North Country Trail that suddenly become bestsellers. You know, just being creative. There was one more question. I'm gonna stop.
I had a question very related to what Larry was asking about, and that is, you know, our chapter has a lot of energy for projects and terrific participation with that, but we need some coaching on how to reach out and make a political impact. You know, if they're cutting funding, we need to be able to, you know, have an organized effort to say, contact our congressman to emphasize to them that this money that you put into trails is well spent. It's seed money that develops communities, et cetera.
Need the facts.
Can you coach us how to
Who
do a
is your
better
little
job
old man from
political contact?
upstate
Al
New York?
Norman.
It's Al Norman.
Al Norman.
Who, I don't know how many of you know Al. Al knows how to do this, and he's in the North Country Trail orbit, but he's in New York State. He's the most inoffensive looking, he looks like a banker, and he's 80 years old at least.
Oh, he's
85.
88.
And he comes to Washington, he travels around the Washington Trails Advocacy Week, but he always gives me this great report at the end of the day, you know, the whole political scorecard, who knows what. I think if you can sensitize, and not just this chapter, but every chapter to be aware of who, especially now that redistricting has occurred, you know, what congressional districts does this trail go through, have the GIS office print out each district and show exactly where the trail is and what's finished and what's needed and where the missing gaps are and where the key property you need to buy, that kind of stuff.
Because there's a lot of active chapter
Get-
members, and if we can get us all, you know, working in the same direction of contacting
Get
our
your members of
congressmen,
Congress and also state legislature
Have an
engaged in the trail, come out for work days. You happen to have here in Michigan the most engaged senator in the Congress, Senator Levin, who loves this trail, has done movies about this trail. Make sure he and his staff know what you're doing at all times and get him engaged when he's home for vacation, home for August recess, to come and walk with you a mile, work on a work day. Get those folks engaged so they can see how important a project this is. Then when it's Trails Advocacy Week, you have entree. You can walk in and say, you know, we have this. What we don't have that would be helpful to you is some research about the economic impact of these trails. We have anecdotes, but that's something you could do here. You've got colleges and universities do some rural research and say, what is the meaning of this North Country Trail in these 3 counties, or the Chief Noonday Chapter section? What does it mean to anybody?
Or another trail, you know, the
Yeah,
Calhoun
sure,
Trail.
any trail like that. And to begin to show, we've done this a little bit. The last time our office was involved in such a study was 15 years ago. It was a historic trail in North Carolina. It was amazing the numbers we found. First of all, the people we surveyed, half of them didn't know they were on the trail. So that kind of skewed the results a little bit. But this trail's only 300 miles long, and we found that it was accountable through an in-plan multiplier, which is a very conservative multiplier, for about $15 million in new money coming into the counties along the trail in 3 states. Blew our socks off. In those days, we were only putting $50,000 a year into the trail. Now we put about 150. But it's bringing 15 million. That was cool. But we don't have current research, especially for scenic trails, on that, and I don't know if it's gonna come around anytime soon unless you guys do it. But be creative in your thinking, show how the economic, I mean, the trouble with this trail is that it's not well enough used or known that you can prove, you know, it's like this great Allegheny Passage in Pennsylvania. Once it opened, all of a sudden hundreds of bikers are in there every day and bicycling and generating income. Yours is a slower, it's more glacial, if you will, you know, getting this trail up and running. But if there are pieces of it that are well known and well used even at the community level, you know, kind of bank on that. Anyway, that talked way too much. But I'll stay until after